Today, the Below Average Joe's MMA show present Cageside Rewind, the show where Dom and I go future to the back to break down an old MMA card. What will it be today? I'm glad you asked. You're about to find out. We will let the wheel decide which show we will break down. There will be laughs, there will be some tears shed, maybe some blood shed,
Oh,
but a lot of fun to be had. So stay tuned. Kick it away, Dom and Noah, with the wheel. Without further ado, though, Dominic, we have to know which event we are watching for today's episode. So I think it's time to spin that wheel.
a longer spin too.
Ooh, I'm
What's it gonna
dying with
be?
anticipation.
Ah,
UFC 195.
okay.
So
a
we're
little
watching
bit back.
Robbie Lawler versus Carlos Condit.
Ooh,
Very interested in what we got there. This is a month before, Dominic, the infamous Nate Diaz submitting Conor McGregor fight. I mean, what a time. You know, it was like after the Ronda head kick knockout loss to Holly Holm, but before that Conor loss, like we're in a time right before the UFC got sold. I mean, it's interesting days here. You know, this is right before, this is when my fandom was bubbling to a point where I
Yes.
couldn't contain it anymore.
this is gonna be a fun one.
So this is going to be fun to watch, but first it's going to be fun to dig through. And to do that, I'm going to kick it to myself. Take it away, me.
That's right.
UFC 195 was held on January 2nd, 2016 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Starting with UFC 34 in 2001, this arena has been a mainstay for the UFC with their events in the fight capital of the world. But with the new T-Mobile Arena set to open in April, many assume this will be one of the last events to be held at the MGM Grand. 2015 was a massive year for the UFC, with 7 different events crossing over 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Much of the credit for this has to be attributed to the superstardom of Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor, who at this point almost feel like they are bigger than the sport. And that has put Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit in a somewhat awkward position. Originally set to headline UFC 193 in November, a thumb injury to Lawler forced the UFC to push back this main event to UFC 195. What did they put in its place? Well, a little fight you may have heard of between Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm. You know, the fight that would set the all-time UFC attendance record and become just the 3rd event to cross 1 million pay-per-view buys. Oh, and cherry on top, resulted in one of the biggest upsets in combat sports history. Then the UFC followed that up with another fight you may have heard of, in Aldo versus McGregor. You know, the fight where Conor knocked out the King of Rio in just 13 seconds and thereby became the biggest name in the sport. Oh, and by the way, that event sold even more than the previous month's UFC 193. So yeah, the UFC is currently in the biggest hot streak in its history, and that appears to be continuing into 2016, as UFC 196 is set to see now featherweight champ Conor McGregor take on lightweight champ Rafael dos Anjos in an attempt to become the first fighter to simultaneously hold 2 division titles in the UFC's history. No doubt, nothing will go wrong and that fight will happen, right? Right? Anyway, in the middle of some of the commercially biggest fights in UFC history, you have UFC 195, where Lawler and Condit are set to fight for Lawler's welterweight title. The pressure is on these two to deliver in a big way in order to keep the positive momentum going for the UFC, and both have proven capable of that in the past. Champion Robbie Lawler has to be one of the most unlikely champions in the company's history. His UFC debut was all the way back at UFC 37 in 2002 at just 20 years old. Starting his UFC career with a 3-fight win streak, it looked like Robbie would be the future for a struggling UFC after displaying some exciting knockout power and aggression. But following a 1-3 record in his next 4 fights, he would be cut by 2005. This career turn would be somewhat of a theme for the next chapter of Lawler's career, great highs followed by disappointing lows. He would become the Elite XC middleweight champion in 2007, but upon leaving for Strikeforce in 2009, things would not go smoothly. Lawler could only amass a record of 3-5 during his time in the UFC's biggest competitor, and most by this point had written him off completely, let alone consider him for a return to the UFC. But after purchasing its biggest competitor in 2011, Lawler's contract would be absorbed into the UFC following the 2013 closure of Strikeforce. And Robbie has made the most of his second chance by going 5-1 with wins over the likes of Josh Koscheck, Rory McDonald, and Matt Brown, among others. Then in December 2014, Robbie reached the highest achievement in the sport when he defeated Johnny Hendricks to become the UFC welterweight champion. Next, a 5th-round TKO victory over Rory McDonald at UFC 189 in what is considered maybe the best fight in UFC history. And Robbie said afterwards he showed everyone he is a true fighter. He comes to fight no matter what happens and tries to knock people out. Well, he definitely proved that, but he also will need to be every bit of that fighter if he is to take out Carlos Condit. Carlos Condit burst onto the scene with the WEC back in 2007, where he would win their welterweight title and hold it until leaving for the UFC in 2009. Condit first put the UFC on notice when he would come back and finish Rory McDonald, who was getting comparisons to GSP with just 7 seconds left in their fight. Following vicious KOs of Dan Hardy and Dong Hyun Kim, Condit would earn his first shot at a UFC title. An interim title, that is, opposite Nick Diaz. GSP was originally set to defend at UFC 143 against Diaz, but had to pull out due to injury. Condit, who was already on the card set to face Josh Koscheck, instead is moved to the main event and given an interim title shot where he would win a unanimous decision. Next came unifying the welterweight title against the then undisputed champion and all-time great GSP. GSP was already considered a great by this point in 2012. He had captured the welterweight title twice, and in his current reign had already accumulated 6 title defenses. He would go on to defeat Condit in the main event of UFC 154, but not without some adversity. GSP would later say the hardest win of his career was against Condit. This is true for many of Condit's fights. He may not get the win, but every time he goes up against another fighter, they are forever changed from fighting him. After losing the GSP, Condit would go 2-2 in his next 4 fights, with TKO wins over Martin Kampmann and Thiago Alves, as well as losses to future champs Johnny Hendricks and Tyron Woodley. But after his win in the main event of Fight Night Goiânia, I don't know if that's correct, let's just go with it, against Thiago Alves, it was time for the Crippler to get his second chance at the belt. So here we are. 2 competitors, most found unlikely to be in this position at this point in their careers, fighting for an undisputed title in the main event in Las Vegas.
Okay.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. UFC 195 is being played now, so me and Dom are getting right here. We got Face the Pain.
Yes.
Today's generation of UFC fans, Dom, will never understand Face the Pain.
Yeah. It really embodies the Just Bleed guy from way back in the day, this song. It really does.
That's true. You know, it's kind of crazy. They had like that article came out where someone tracked that guy down.
Yeah.
And he's not even a fan anymore.
He's like an accountant and does not watch the sport.
Yeah. He's like an accountant, stopped watching like a year after that photo was taken. Like, I couldn't imagine being that hardcore into something where I'm painting my body, showing up to the show, probably drunker than shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that man had veins on veins coming out of him. And then a year later being like, I got too many numbers to crunch. I'm not
bald, shaved his head and everything. Just completely new person.
Yeah. It's kind of like when SpongeBob, when SpongeBob became normal, that one episode. You remember that? Like, did you ever watch SpongeBob, Dom?
Does he turn like
anything.
No. Does he turn like a soft kind of sparkly a little bit? Yeah.
Yes.
I think I know what you're talking about.
That's kind of what that dude did. He's like, I'm normal now. I'm an accountant. I'm bald. I don't watch violent sports. Like,
no, if I'm not mistaken. What was our first cage side? 219, right?
No, 240.
240. We have Mike Goldberg in this episode of Cageside. We didn't have it in the first one, so it's nice to hear his voice again.
It does feel good to hear him. I understand that nobody is better in the biz than John Anik. And I mean, that includes Goldberg. Like, John Anik is the cream of the crop.
Yes.
But I do have a soft spot for this combo. Like, Rogan and Goldberg. I mean, Dominic, you were raised on that. For me, I came in towards the tail end.
Yeah.
I mean, I came in 199, 8 months later, he was done. The end of that year, he was done.
Yeah.
And yet he left such a big impact. I was upset when I found out that he was no longer going to be part. And I said, good luck finding someone better.
Yeah. Enter John Anik. It was such an abrupt ending, though, to the relationship. It was weird.
Maybe they thought or knew that he was going to go to Bellator, and they're like,
wrong pipe.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew he was going to Bellator.
Standouts of the prelims.
Let them know.
Drew Dober, Alex Morano, Dustin Poirier beat Joe Duffy on the prelims. So some pretty big names on the prelims, I'd say. Dustin Poirier he was actually the lowest of those three on the card. He was on the Fight Pass prelims. So
it's crazy. You see that sometimes, like in MMA community on Twitter, someone will randomly throw out an old card from 5 or 6 years ago. It's like, look at the prelims then, and look where these people are now. Because, it's easy to say when you throw that tweet out to try and get people to interact with it, to say, oh, look how loaded the prelims were back then compared to the prelims we get now. But they were in the same boat 5 or 6 years ago. So it's just interesting.
A lot of the people we see on the prelims today are also going to be...
Yes, in 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
Ugh.
Good grief, the dude from the Athletic Commission's yoked. He looked like my uncle.
I thought... yeah. I was going to say he looked like a jacked up BJ Penn. Apparently, Tony Sims has a really good right hand, according to Joe Rogan. I'm learning a lot. Oh, okay. There's that right hand. Yep.
Yeah.
Just like we drew it up.
I'm trying to look for new sponsors or movies that were coming out. Metro PCS, they still around, Noah?
I think so. They did have a booth at when we went to UFC 203. That's how we met Forrest Griffin.
True.
So, Tony Sims going for a takedown here, but Trujillo does have his neck.
Uh-oh.
Going for a choke. Uh-oh. He's got a lot. It looks like
tight.
It's under the chin.
Oh, he got him.
Oh, it's over.
He got him.
Wow.
Look at him keep it through all the the roll there and the transitioning and had it so tight still.
Oh, look at Carlos Condit wearing some headphones like Dom's got on. He looks all business. All right. Brian Ortega, Diego Brandao.
This is the rise of T-City. This is an interesting fight.
Yeah, this is I was about to say it's interesting because didn't Diego Brandao fought... See, I always forget. He wasn't the debut opponent of Conor McGregor, right? You want to check that for me while you're looking on your phone?
Yeah, I can check.
Because I get mixed up Conor's debut and Cody Garbrandt's debut. And one of them was against Diego Brandao, I'm pretty sure.
I think it was Conor. I'm looking him up now. So it wasn't his debut. He debuted against Marcus Brimage, but his third fight was against Diego Brandao, Conor's third fight.
Can you see if Cody Garbrandt's debut was Diego Brandao? I might be wrong about that too.
Funny enough, he also debuted against Marcus Brimage. Fascinating, actually, that we just looked that up.
So I guess Marcus Brimage was the guy I was looking for there.
I think so.
It did show it looked like Dustin Poirier had fought Diego Brandao as well.
Dustin beat Diego Brandao at UFC 168.
So that was before he fought Conor, I think, because Conor was 178. That UFC 178 card is the one that you're talking about, an example of a card that you post and you're like, holy shit. It was headlined by Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
But funny enough, you look underneath, you got Conor versus Dustin. You got Yoel Romero versus Tim Kennedy, which is a crazy fight because that's the fight where Yoel was like sitting on the stool and the bucket got kicked over,
ice.
I think.
Yeah.
And Yoel's just sitting on the stool and they're like, what the fuck's going on? Amanda Nunes lost to Kat Zingano on that card.
Wow.
And I believe Eddie Alvarez fought somebody on there, and I can't remember.
We're going to
It's a
find
pretty
out.
big name. Eddie Alvarez fought somebody.
Cowboy Cerrone was the co-main event versus Eddie Alvarez and beat Eddie via decision.
And Mighty Mouse fought Chris Carriasso, right?
Yep, submitted him via Kimura in the second
Isn't
round.
that crazy? Isn't that just a crazy fact? I mean, Mighty Mouse is worthy of a main event spot, but funny with all those names underneath him that he's the headliner.
Dominic Cruz was even on that card. He knocked out Takeya Mizugaki on that card.
Nice. That was his comeback fight.
Holy shit! Jorge Masvidal was on that card. Stephen Thompson was on that card. Kevin Lee was on that card. That's crazy.
That is the card that everybody talks about.
Sheesh.
Got Ortega up against the fence.
Look at
risky move here. Very risky move by Brandao going for a takedown. But he is able to finagle his way out of it. If you kind of notice in some of Ortega's come up, he was winning from behind a lot.
Yes.
And I wonder if a lot of that had to do with the offensive game in terms of striking hadn't quite caught up with his jiu-jitsu. So unless he could get a fight up close, able to snatch a choke on or whatever, he would struggle a little bit. Like he had to come back against, I think, Moicano, against Cub Swanson.
Yep.
And then, of course, when he put it all together, we saw what happened against Frankie Edgar. So.
Yep. The uppercut from hell.
First man to ever knock out Frankie Edgar.
And then it really did start kind of a tradition, unfortunately, too.
Frankie Edgar, main event of our first Cageside Rewind against Max Holloway, by the way.
Yep.
And Ortega really wants that jumping guillotine, man. He is looking for it.
I'll be interested, actually, to see if this does go the distance or not.
It's looking like it will.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
But, man, Ortega really wants it. You can tell him.
Oh, my God. Look at the timing.
I think that's it.
That's got to be it. That's it. You're not getting out of it. Nope. You're not getting out of that from Brian Ortega.
Just give him a wedgie.
Wait, he only has one arm.
Give him a little credit card swipe on the butthole.
What did he say?
Triangle. Oh, look at the reversal. Oh, it's just amazing.
Oh my.
It's beautiful.
Throw in the towel. Stop. He's already dead. I mean,
it's magical.
The transition there was really something.
Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu, man.
This had to be a fight. If someone bought this pay-per-view, watched it live, you have to look at that performance and go, wow, okay, this guy can really be something.
Yeah.
And he has been, for sure. He for sure has been. I'm really excited to see him back. I hope he comes back 100%. I hated the way that fight went with him and Yair, where his shoulder popped out of place.
We were on to something fun, too, I believe, with that one.
I mean, that was one of the most anticipated main events of that whole summer. So
he went from Darce to guillotine to triangle choke within 30 seconds.
I'm telling you, though, Ortega's butt crack was open for a credit card swipe.
It was there. Real quick one.
Mario Yamasaki in the cage.
There it is.
I can't wait. Throw me the little heart. Yeah.
All right, fight number 3, Noah. Here we go. Joe's excited for this fight.
I could see this being a kind of fight that we'd get really up for back then.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were excited about Tumenov. It's a shame that the UFC kind of... I don't remember how that exactly went, but I think he's one of those guys the UFC let go, and a lot of people thought it was a bit premature. Especially when you look at who he did lose to. Like you said, Leon Edwards was one of those losses.
And Gunner before that. So that's your last two? I mean...
I don't know if that's really enough to cut somebody, It does seem like Larkin's sneaking in some good leg kicks.
Oh, that was a good one there.
Tumenov's not checking like any of these. I don't know how many of these he's going to be able to eat.
Oh.
All right, Tumenov. Oh. That right hand was looking like it was about to do some damage, but I don't think it landed quite flush.
I love that line right there by Mike Goldberg. I love that line.
What did he say?
It's just a Goldberg line. He goes, "The ball of the foot can do some serious damage. I just love it. And then he instantly into another sentence. It's awesome.
There is just something about Goldberg's voice that just puts me into that MMA zone.
He has a good voice to listen to.
Yeah, like I think Anik has one of those. He's one of those guys that I could see him doing like big time NFL games. And
oh yeah, he could do any sport.
But Goldberg feels like a guy who probably couldn't go to that level, but he is perfect for like MMA
combat. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, his leg's fucked. You can see all the redness on it.
Yeah.
He's walking on it good though, I guess, but he's doing some hopping here and there.
Larkin is playing a little game here though, because he keeps honing in on those legs, and Tumenov's trying to time it up with the nasty uppercut.
Good shots to the body. Good shots.
That was great shots. Oh, man.
Oh, he's going at it now.
Oh, this is looking a little Stipe versus DC, too.
I just thought the same thing.
This fight's going to get interesting if it goes to round 3. Both guys are dealing with some shit right now.
Oh, he's drilling the left shot to the body. Good fight. This is a good fight.
Yeah.
Oh, that clipped the top of his head. And another.
Yeah, it did. My favorite thing in MMA, a nice exchange, and then they clinch. Great stuff. If you have an erection lasting 48 hours, all you got to do is watch an MMA fight where a really good shot lands, and you get excited, and then they clinch. Works every time.
That was a good ad.
Tumenov's leg is fucked.
It's fucked. Yeah.
But then I wonder if the body of Larkin, like how it's going to hold up in round 3, because
this is really a toss-up here, honestly. This is a...
Yeah.
I mean, that second round, probably Larkin. I mean, the leg kicks... I don't know, man, but Tumenov was doing so good with the body shot.
Probably... Oh, man, that's true.
That's a tough second round. I'd hate to be a judge right here on this one. Oh.
Whoa.
A spinning back calf kick?
Yeah, Rogan said to the thigh, but that was definitely below the knee.
Oh, it definitely was.
But that ended up working.
Dude, he did it again. Oh, sorry, I'm freaking out, but I've never seen that before.
That's definitely good. I like it.
And like his heel is going to contact? That's got to hurt. Damn.
The ball of the foot.
The ball of the foot, yes. It's full circle. Oh, another one. Oh, love this fight. Good fight.
Yeah.
He did it again.
You're like Leonardo DiCaprio right now. Pointing that screen. Ooh.
1 minute left here. Let's see. Somebody take this fight. Pardon. My gut says Larkin, but I don't know. I don't know there.
Based on what little I remember about both these careers, I want to say Tumenov wins.
Yeah.
But based on what I just watched, I want to say Larkin wins.
Yeah. Okay.
Split decision.
Albert Tumenov, split decision.
Split decision.
Who all we got here? I'm trying to look.
Hard to tell.
I don't know. It's dark. I'm not seeing anybody, though, really.
This camera angle's not doing us any favors either.
Oh, Noah, that is Chris Tognoni with hair. That is Chris Tognoni with hair standing behind the Vaseline man. Look at that right there, Noah. Wow.
What a hole.
Best part of the card so far.
You did not just get that hyped for Chris Tognoni with
that. Is like me seeing Minnie Blessed in our first Cageside Rewind. That's what that was.
That's an all-time moment. Who's that kid sitting next to Dana? 3-inch reach advantage for Stipe.
And as we all know, Noah, 3 inches goes a long way.
It's true. And 3 inches is enough to satisfy anybody.
Yep. Right. Let's see these betting odds. And this version of Andrei, who, yes, is fighting in a number 1 contender fight, but like you could argue that today's version is better than this version. The way that he's evolved with the fight game and gotten better to try and keep up with the young guns.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Minus 225.
Are you sure you can make that argument? I mean, he was fighting nearly for a title here.
It is kind of a weird statement I said, but it can't be unsaid.
Right now he's not top 15. I mean, I love what he's doing now. But I mean, this is against some of the best heavyweights of the time.
Bit of a weird statement. That's not my brightest moment.
Full retraction.
No, it's out there. I'll take it. I'll take it. Here we go. Oh my shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Yep.
shit balls. Oh,
That's it.
I mean,
See ya.
I didn't even I forgot to put the damn nameplates on the damn screen, and the fight's over. Holy.
Oh wow.
I'm pumped, bro.
This is pre-dad Steve.
He's so already such a dad.
Yeah, but well, I wouldn't say that, Dom, because I'm saying pre-dad Stipe throwing out the bros. I mean, kind of this is like frat bro Stipe time period. This card is cooking, man. They're not taking any breaks here.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you, I'm excited to see this because we remember so much. It's so easy to remember Lawler, McDonald. It tends to overshadow how good of a fight that this was, so I'm excited to watch this again.
Yeah, there is a growing debate in the community on if this fight between Lawler and Condit is actually better than the Lawler-McDonald fight. So, guys, it's time for the main event. Robbie Lawler, 33 years old at the time. Carlos Condit, 31. We also got to score this fight, Dom, because that's another point of contention among MMA fans is who really won this fight.
Okay.
Part of the reason why Condit is in this position, he lost to Tyron Woodley, like I said, but Tyron Woodley's injured at this time.
Yeah.
Doesn't come back till UFC 201. So that's sort of why they needed someone to fight for the titles, because Tyron Woodley was out for like a year.
Yeah, he got that title shot off of the injury.
Even though Condit lost to Woodley, he still finds himself here.
Holy shit.
Oh, whoa. Did he actually tag him there?
I think so. Dude, he face planted.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't seem like the kind of punch that put him down.
Cool having Lawler and Arlovski both co-main and main on a pay-per-view together when you look at their history with the company.
Considering my feelings on both of them.
Yeah,
you know.
also true.
It's really a card that's trying to get a high score from me right now. So far, Carlos is getting the better of this round.
Yeah, Carlos looks
That
good.
much is clear. I mean, that face plant's got to be the sticking point right now, because
Yeah.
Robbie's had some good shots, but nothing that's put that image in the judge's mind.
Way more output, way more volume, and a lot more landed shots. And a knockdown. They'll probably show it again. Hopefully we get a really good look here in slow-mo of that shot. Let's see. But yeah, Carlos 1-0. Carlos 1-0.
Carlos 1-0.
Here it comes, Noah, I think. He hit him with a left, and he kind of stumbled. So...
Oh, he didn't... No, that's not a knockdown.
Yeah.
It didn't land. It hit the chest.
This
the problem, though, Dom, at this time, I don't believe judges had, like, instant replay or could review the tape.
Yeah.
So, the image is that was a knockdown.
Right.
So, the judges are going to assume that, even though it looks like upon review, it is not.
Yeah, exactly. This is much closer already than the first round. Robbie's much more aggressive.
Yep, much more aggressive. I noticed that, too. So far, this fight's definitely better than Lawler-McDonald. But we know
from this point
how much it picks up in the later rounds for that one. So.
Oh, knockdown. That's a knockdown.
Whoa,
that's a legit
that is a knockdown.
Man.
Holy. That was a nasty, nasty stuff.
Just look at the output is still crazy.
That is very crazy. That just shows, though, that fight stats are not the end-all, be-all.
Yep, 100%.
I mean, I think that was telling for the first round, but since this in round 2, I don't think that number quite holds up. Because let's look at it like this, Dom. Assuming nothing crazy happens in this last 20 seconds, it's going to be 1-1, but you'll see people post those stats saying, well, look how many shots Condit landed. But the rounds are scored equally.
100%. 100%.
All right.
1-1. Yep. Bro, look at that smirk from Robbie Lawler. What a fucking savage, dude.
You know what that smirk was saying? Shit. Here we go again. So the Zen has been put in, ladies and gentlemen. And that means we're going to be soaring through these last 3 rounds.
As Scott Hansen would say, it's the witching hour.
It is the witching hour. where losses become wins and wins become losses. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the witching hour. Shout out to Scott Hansen. I mean,
Oh man.
oh my God.
Oh, that step in elbow.
Oh.
I love watching people utilize that move, the step in elbow, whether it's up and down, horizontal.
Round is slowing down a little bit, but I have a feeling we're in for a crazy last minute here. What do you think?
It just feels like you have to just be ready for something to happen in this
That's
fight.
true. Yeah, it's very true.
2-1 Noah Carlos. I'm gonna go there too.
Ooh, I'm going 2-1 Lawler.
Okay, there's our first discrepancy. That was tight. Now we're seeing where.
And I hope anybody watching this realizes it's a little hard to watch and you're talking, and so don't take our scores,
that was close.
To heart here,
Definitely the closest round of the three, obviously. All right, 1 minute in, nothing crazy in round 4.
That is fucking insane.
Holy shit. Yeah. Wow. Total strikes attempted 69. Nice,
this fight,
by the way, for Lawler.
that paints a picture that this fight is not actually illustrating.
Yeah.
Like if you would have told me that at the beginning of, like, if they hadn't showed it round by round, what we're seeing, by the way, is that the total strikes attempted for Condit as of like 20 seconds ago was 247, while Lawler was 69, I believe.
4 times more.
The first round, you could tell me that there was a big discrepancy. But since then, like you said, Dom, it looks like it's been very close. Mm-hmm. And I mean, volume is not necessarily the name of the game here. It's damage. So
some people are just built for this game. And in this case, we have 2 of them.
Man, another good inside leg kick.
See, you hear Joe there?
Yeah, I'm not really getting that sense. Now, I know you have a 2-1 Condit, so maybe you think he needs to be... Ooh.
Oh!
Wait, did that kick land?
Big wobble.
Was it the kick?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he's hurt.
It was like a delayed reaction.
He's still hurt.
Oh, he's pouring it on. Carlos is pouring it on.
Yeah, he's got Robbie up against the fence. He's going to the body. He's going to the head. He's doing a good job of mixing it up. But, man, Robbie's so tough. Man.
Holy shit.
Saved by the bell is Robbie here. That's a great round. It's a great round, but that is Condit's round.
So there, for me, Noah, who did I just score the fight for then?
You just scored it
Carlos
for
Condit.
Now I'm curious what you're going to say about round 5.
Yeah. Wow. So I have
because I have a 2-2. I'm assuming based off our scorecards, this round is going to be a Robbie round. Man. That's my prediction for our scorecards. So we will both score round 5 for Robbie.
Yeah.
Obviously, we both have seen this fight, but it's you guys. I'm sure a lot of you who watch a lot of fights realize when you watch so many, it's easy to forget a lot that happens in these.
Oh yeah, especially when you watch fights every week.
So it's not clicking in my brain if round 5 is like a big Robbie round. So I'm legitimately guessing when I say that.
Because if it's not, I could potentially score this 4-1 for Carlos.
That would be interesting.
I mean, it seems as if Robbie is thinking, okay, maybe I do have to do something here big.
Oh, there's a good hand by Robbie. I think Condit might be hurt a little bit. He's doing a pretty good job of holding it together, at least for now. He's so unorthodox, though, in his movement that it's kind of hard to tell. Man, there's some good shots for Condit.
That was an 11-punch combination.
Yeah, it's a nasty body shot, too.
Oh, the elbow. Oh, my goodness. I find myself in a fascinating position here, the way that I've already scored this fight and the way that I'm scoring round 5 through the first 2 minutes.
I already can sense why there's some controversy about this fight. I mean, look at that. 43 shots landed for Lawler on the broadcast.
Holy shit.
140 for Condit.
100 more. And 300 more strikes thrown. Dude, I mean, Carlos is landing every shot.
Wow, man.
No, the combinations.
Oh, that was a good shot by Lawler.
Yeah, that had Carlos.
Had him backing up. And there's some blood. There's some blood below the right eye of Condit now.
Oh, big right hand from Robbie.
Oh, another good one. Oh, he just
Here comes Robbie.
Oh, wow. Oh, whoa. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, another great shot.
Oh.
Wow. This
Oh.
fight's fucking nuts. This fight is
Oh,
nuts.
oh. Look at the fans. Look at them. Jumping up and down. I got goosebumps. My tits are hard.
Wow. Carlos is eating some crazy shots right now.
Oh.
How much do these guys have left? There's 1 minute left in the fight, and here comes Carlos coming back with more. But he's hurt, man. He is stumbling.
These guys have put it all out. Nothing left. Nothing left from either man.
They are.
Nothing left. Not a fucking...
Oh!
Oh, the head kick. Oh, my... Okay. Fucking... Look at that. Look at that. Right there. Side by side one another.
What a great image. I
3-2
think I'm gonna go
Carlos.
Robbie. Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-2 Robbie.
There you go. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, round 5's close, but I think it's hard pressed to find that scoring it for Carlos because of the damage from Robbie.
That's true, but Carlos, that first half of the round was...
Round 3 is the round, though.
I mean, you said it yourself. 2 minutes, I think even 3 minutes in, you said this is
3
Condit's
minutes
round.
in, it was Condit.
It was that 4th minute where Robbie really let it on. Wow.
I mean, 3-2, either fighter, and it's no robbery. There's no robbery in this fight.
But I can see why there are people who were feeling like, especially if you're a Carlos Condit fan, I can especially see why you would be a little annoyed that he didn't get the decision, you know. The amount of shots, you know. Well, Dominic, I'm going to say it. I think that fight's better than Lawler McDonald.
I think so. If you're looking at the whole 25 minutes, it just doesn't have the memorable moments. You know what I mean? That memorable stare down, the blood, you know.
All right, so we're here at the end of UFC 195. That was that card, you know, to its credit, Dom. 3 finishes out of 5, but the card went by pretty smoothly. I mean, the main event was a 5-rounder. It was the only 5-round fight on the card, of course, but it definitely being as good as it was, you know, this was a big step up from UFC 240.
Yes, very.
So let's start with our first fight of the main card, Abel Trujillo getting that submission victory over Tony Sims. It was 3 minutes, 18 seconds of the first round. Not a whole lot for me on this one. I mean, neither guy is necessarily like a guy that I remember have a lot about. I remember Trujillo a little bit, but he looked good. Tony Sims, though, maybe showing a lack of awareness with the way he kind of went for that takedown. It sort of just gave his chin up right away. But, you know, 1-round fight with a finish, submission finish, a good finish. Not a negative fight by any means. Anything you'd like to add for that one?
No, nothing too crazy there. It's just two guys. Again, it's just that's what's cool about going back and watching. They're no longer in the UFC, so where did they go from here, essentially? That's all.
So what did you think of our second fight, which saw Brian Ortega get a submission win over Diego Brandao? That happened 1:37 of round number 3.
I liked that fight because this is during Ortega's run. This is when fight by fight we were kind of starting to see improvements from Ortega from an offensive striking standpoint, but you knew that the danger was still the jiu-jitsu, and it showed, right? In the 3rd round, he pulls out a triangle choke, which previously was a guillotine, which previously was a Darce choke before that, and he did it all seamlessly in one big long transition. So and it still rings true today. His jiu-jitsu is second to none. It's some of the best in the UFC, and look where he's went from there. I mean, this was part of his win streak. He's fought for a title. He's been in the top 5 for, 2, 3, 4 years now at this point. He just continued to evolve, and this was another step there to beat a veteran, Diego Brandao.
Yeah, Brian Ortega, what I will say about him is you can see in this fight, it said it was his first appearance on a pay-per-view. I can see by watching this the potential that's there. You see it in the finishing sequence, the transitions in the jiu-jitsu, block it in like 3 separate chokes. You can tell that jiu-jitsu is unrivaled in the company.
Yeah.
And once he put together that full game, I mean, he just took his game to a whole nother level. But you can see it here, the potential.
Yeah, 100%.
Third fight, Albert Tumenov getting a split decision victory over Lorenz Larkin. Not a fight that I thought was going to be all that memorable. And I don't know if it's the most memorable fight, but I thought it was a pretty good fight all in all, you know. Lorenz Larkin doing a ton of damage with leg kicks. I think me and Dom actually scored the fight for Larkin. But Albert Tumenov is the guy who I remember more because he's well, actually, I can kind of look while we're talking here. Lorenz Larkin last fought for Bellator 283, July 2022. So he's still fighting.
Okay. That's not long ago, yeah.
He fought to a no contest back in July. He's been with Bellator since June 2017. He fought on that Bellator NYC card and a loss to Douglas Lima.
Okay.
So his last fight in UFC, he actually would fight 2 more times in the UFC after the split decision loss. He would have wins over Jorge Masvidal on a fight night split decision victory, and he would beat via TKO Neil Magny.
Wow.
And then
So
he left the Bellator.
he left in free agency then. Had to have.
Yeah, I think he was one of those guys that Bellator really had high hopes for. I think that shows with his debut. That Bellator NYC card was really big. I believe that was Chael fought on that card.
I think Michael Chandler was on it too.
Yeah, that was that. It was a really big event for them. Chael fought, was it Vanderlei maybe? Or
That might have been.
something
I'll
like
check.
that. But Lorenz Larkin was fighting for the welterweight title. Douglas Lima was the champion at that time. So debut with the company, Dom, and he's fighting for a welterweight title. That says something.
Yeah. Damn. I didn't know.
And it is crazy how he's really not been fighting like high-level guys in Bellator since, he lost back-to-back to Lima and Paul Daly.
Yeah.
But Dom, those are his only 2 losses in Bellator. He is on 6-fight winning streak in Bellator. Now his last fight was a no contest.
Damn.
But,
And I didn't realize he still just fought, 6 months ago.
Yeah, so he was on a 6-fight winning streak. He did beat Korshkov, who's a real dangerous guy, and Rafael. I always mix up this guy's name. Rafael Carvalho, I think is something how you pronounce it. So he's still fighting at a pretty high level, actually, even though we haven't heard much about him. He's 36 years old. So this was a fight that both guys kind of come out looking pretty good. Tumenov, had good exchanges in the pocket, but the leg kicks were definitely the big takeaway for me on behalf of Larkin.
Yeah.
Now, Dominic, I'll let you talk about the fight that I had the inner dilemma of. Your co-main event, Stipe Miocic gets the TKO over Andrei Arlovski, 54 seconds of round number 1. He called for his title shot after. He said, I hope, Dana, we're on the same page now.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up obviously getting the title fight. He won the title, became, in our opinion, the best heavyweight in UFC history.
Yep.
It all kind of started here. So what did you think?
It did. It kind of launched him into not stardom, but it put him into that title picture when he felt disrespected. He made his frustrations pretty clear, I felt like, in that post-fight interview. 54 seconds, takes out a legend. Like Noah said, goes on to win the title, defends it 3 times, sets a record, loses the title, then wins it back and defends the belt again. I mean, he's done unprecedented things for the heavyweight division. His legacy has kind of been cemented. We've said that for a while now. And it seems like now he's like unofficially retired, right? I mean, that's how it feels for Stipe. So he's full dad mode, like Noah says.
And your main event, Robbie Lawler gets the split decision win over Carlos Condit. Dominic scored at 48-47 Condit. I scored at 48-47 Lawler. But there are no losers here, of course, for the title. You feel for Carlos Condit. But I can't say, I can't say I don't understand why there are so many people who feel Carlos Condit won this fight. Not a robbery. I mean, this fight's super close. The stats do not paint the full picture of this fight.
No,
Not
at all.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what the official numbers are because I feel like it might be a little bit skewed on the broadcast. But no doubt, Condit was throwing so much more. But when it came down to damage, Robbie being opportunistic, picking his chances to really get in the pocket and do some damage, and it worked out for him.
Yeah.
There were big moments. There were big momentum shifts back and forth. I think the way we kind of went, Dom, we scored round 1. Both of us scored it for Condit. Round 2 was both of us for Lawler. We split on round 3. Round 4 was a big Condit round. Round 5 we both had for Lawler, even though it was still kind of close and both guys had big moments in that round. So really, the momentum shifts happened throughout this fight. I mean,
Yes.
each guy, it wasn't one of
Yes.
those where one guy starts hot early, wins the first two, and then you see someone take over rounds 3, 4, and 5. One of the best fights ever.
Yeah,
I'll just
it
say
is. Yeah.
I think it's better than the fight that we had way back in the day when we did our top 10 UFC fights. We put Lawler McDonald 2 as the number 1 fight in UFC history. I think this is better than that.
I think
Do
so.
I think it's number 1? I don't know. We'd have to probably go back.
Look at the list again, right?
We'd have to go to the lab and
Yep.
probably rewatch a lot of those fights this time and see how we would rank it. But it's got to be up towards the top, man. That was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Robbie, this really cemented both guys' legacies. Neither guy was the same after this fight, and that says a little something, you know. Both these guys went on some pretty tough skids after this. Robbie, of course, lost his title in his following fight to Tyron Woodley and would go on to kind of middle out the rest of the way. And Carlos Condit had a lot of inactivity in years past after this, but
Yeah, wow. This loss actually, no, sorry, but it kick-started a 5-fight losing streak for Condit. Now that I'm looking at it here,
yeah. So
and
neither
4
guy
of them were
really,
finishes.
Neither
3.
guy really comes out the same. So
Yeah.
But what a fight. I want to ask a couple things. We'll start doing this for these since we're kind of wrapping up here at the end. This one will be a little easy for this question. Or actually, we'll start with the second one. Dominic, if you were to award the $50K Performance of the Night bonus based on a winner from our main card, who do you give it to?
I think you have to go Stipe knocking out Andrei in 54 seconds.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. The UFC saw it the same. They gave Stipe and then Michael McDonald, who was your main event of the prelims, the
Nice.
performance bonuses. Here's the easy one. Who would you give the fight of the night to? Dominic did have an inner dilemma when he was watching Tumenov and Larkin, but who would you give the fight of the night to, Dom?
Totally forgot who the main event was. It's pretty clear. Lawler Condit fight of the night, and it took the fight of the year for 2016
Yes,
as
it did.
well.
This
So
was in January, and that
Yeah.
says something. When that fight, when you get to December and you have to look back, and
you
some
tend to
of those
forget the
fights-
ones that happened in the beginning.
And this one stood the test of time. And but yeah, now it's the moment of truth, though. We have to give UFC 195, your pay-per-view portion, a score on a scale of 1 to 100. Our cumulative score or our average score, whatever, for UFC 240 was a 48.5. Dominic gave it a 48. I gave it a 49. Now for this one, I think we both agree it's better.
Yeah.
60 being the cutoff for one we'd recommend anybody to go watch, spend money on Fight Pass to watch. What do you give the score for UFC 195?
It's interesting because 2 fights, there's not a ton of takeaways, but then there's 3 with a pretty good chunk of takeaways. 3 finishes, a fight of the year in your main event for a title. Oh, man. The problem is I still don't want to go too high because it's only our second one. But this is...
Don't think like that. Just what score jumps out at you?
82.
82.
82. 82.
Okay.
I've got my calculator out ready to do some math for you.
I don't know if you'll have to do too much because I think my score for this one, if I take into account the main event is a fight of the year, one of the best fights ever.
That takes
That
it up
carries a
so
lot.
much. Yeah.
Carries a lot. The co-main, very thorough, quick, but it was a number 1 contender fight. Stipe getting a big win. The rest of this card has its moments, of course. Tumenov Larkin's a decent fight. Ortega with a nice performance against Brandao. The Trujillo Sims fight, kind of take it or leave it. I'm going to give it...
It's tough.
You'll have to do a little cutting here as I think about
That's
it.
fine.
That 82 somehow threw me for a loop. I don't know why.
I was almost like, am I too high?
No,
But
I
then-
think I actually think I was going to be a slightly lower, not too much to the point where you have to do math, but that fight of the year just really...
It feels like, regardless of a card, if we get to see it and there's a fight of the year on the card, it already boosts it as a passing grade.
I
Regardless
mean,
of all their other
we just
fights.
saw the reverse of this not too long ago with the UFC 280.
Two.
Which one was that? Where
Last one. Yeah.
the card was terrific, even on
was
the
incredible.
prelims.
Yeah.
And then you get to the co-main and main events, and it sort of leaves a bad taste in the mouth. There's a fart in church.
Yeah. Right.
So that I do think the main and co-main living up carries more weight than if the rest of the card does.
I think so.
So taking that into account, I'm going to go 85.
Okay.
So that would put us at an 83.5, I believe.
Yes, 83.5 on the screen. Wow.
UFC 195. I mean, it's a very solid, very good card.
That's big ups from 240.
There's no fight on here that is a skip. Even the Trujillo Sims fight, even though it's kind of a take it or leave it, it's so quick that it's
3 minutes.
It's inconsequential. UFC 240 just had a couple fights where it was like you're watching 15 minutes and you're kind of like, ugh, you know, let's just. Even the main event, Holloway Edgar's kind of like whatever, you know. So for this fight, there's no fight on here that is a negative to the card.
Yep, I would agree.
So I had to go a little higher because of that.
I like
so
that
85,
number.
We'll see how it stacks up as we keep going. At some point, once we have enough cards on here, we'll start kind of showing like a ranking.
That will be interesting, yeah.
So we'll see, and we will not be able to go back and rescore this unless sometime in 20 years we've made it through every UFC.
Everyone, and we do it again.
There have been some requests to branch out and do some Pride, some with WEC, some Strike Force. I believe we already have our third one ready to go, and we were doing it we basically just put all of the UFC pay-per-views on a spinner wheel.
Yeah.
I believe moving forward, we will start to put those cards, since they are available on Fight Pass, might as well put those on there. And for a lot of those cards, I mean, I can say I've watched a lot just by doing my personal history. I'm a history guy, so I'm just constantly watching a lot of those older cards. But Dom, I think for a lot of those, it'd be first time for you.
100%, yeah, it would be.
And just like I'm saying, like a card like this, I probably watched Lawler Condit all the way through at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And this time still felt like the first time I was watching it in a lot of ways. So I think even considering most of those cards I've seen once, to go back, it'd be very fresh.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun.
But Dominic, that's our score. There's only one way we end the show, though. And that's what the little segment we like to call closing statements. The point of the show where me and Dom can talk about anything and everything, MMA related or not. Dominic, do you have any closing statements for this episode? Maybe I'll help you out. You did have a big announcement that dropped on the community tab.
True.
And I know this episode will be coming out.
I know. I was trying to think when it releases, though. This comes out on Monday, January 9th.
So it'll be after the debut. But do you want to go ahead and plug it so that way people know where to go?
I'm gonna plug it on verbal for next week.
Okay.
Because for today, it's gonna be fun to watch this back. Because tonight, Monday, January 9th, when you're seeing this, our Ohio State Buckeyes may or may not be competing for a national championship.
In the national championship game. It's on the way. No good. He hooked it.
Against potentially Michigan in what could be the biggest college football championship of all time. I mean, let's be honest here.
Of all time.
So a lot rides on this coming weekend, New Year's weekend, when we're recording this. But I'm just curious to kind of look at this, watch this back. If there's any college football fans out there, let us know about your thoughts and stuff when this releases on the 9th. But I wanted to kind of give that out there. I'll do a little plug on our verbal sparring this coming week.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I will say, since you said that, watch, it's going to be Georgia versus TCU.
Probably, yeah.
Buzz, you're a genius.
Man, I am excited for the college football playoff. Bowl season has not been great for me on the betting end. I have been working a little bit under different circumstances than I'd like to, since I had to drive to Ohio. It's really a tease. I think
Oh, yeah, it is.
I probably talked about this on the show. I think I tweeted it too. It's really a tease when I came home for Christmas. And I'm staying here through New Year's, that it's not until basically the day before I go home that it becomes legal. So I've been home this whole time, and I had to place all my NFL and all my bowl games before I left. And it shows because my bowl games are not going great. I will be making a quick drive tomorrow morning to put some college basketball, some NFL and whatnot. And then Sunday, Dom,
The floodgates open, Noah, on Sunday, brother.
yeah. And I found out that I will be moving back to Ohio come early July.
Yeah, big ups.
From my job. So thankfully, I will be moved to a legal betting state. I don't know what I would have done if I had gotten put in Nebraska or Texas. But anyways, I am excited to be back in Ohio, the state where I belong. Indiana's
We're glad
been
to have
great,
you.
though. Indiana's been great, but it's time. The LeBron James, I'm coming home.
Coming home.
My name's Noah Baker. That's Dominic Sleeve. We are but just two of the below average Joes, and we'll see you guys on Friday.
Friday, yes. Yeah.